By the end of this year or early next year, America will be in recession. Those who dig below the published numbers actually say America is effectively in recession now. Europe is in recession in all but name. And if you look at the real supply, the real money supply numbers, things are only going to get worse. China's economy will slow until mid next year. So where does that leave you? Basically, by April next year, the world will be in recession.
Simon Hunt, the founder of Simon Hunt Strategic Services, is a renowned financial and geopolitical analyst. Hunt has decades of experience providing analysis and research on the global economy and developing trends and how they impact asset prices. According to the renowned analyst, the world is heading for very uncertain times. Hunt believes the coming collapse will begin with a global recession, which will spread rapidly through Europe, China, the United States, Japan, and other major economies. Talks of an impending recession have been around since the U.S. Federal Reserve started raising rates in 2022. However, according to the official narrative, the United States is not in a recession, nor has it been since the pandemic-induced one we had in 2022. Fed officials are also hopeful that they can somehow orchestrate a soft landing, a scenario where they successfully bring down inflation without any serious or lasting economic consequences from the unprecedented rate hikes. However, most investors, analysts, and economists believe that will be next to impossible. These experienced investors have pointed out that there is just too much leverage in the system. Most believe a recession is at least 70% certain, and it could be anywhere from mild to severe, depending on the Fed's reaction to it. According to Hunt, the Fed's response will be more money printing, which will only aggravate things further. Hunt is predicting a massive global recession, followed by unlimited central bank money printing, which will then lead to years of uncontrollable inflation. The renowned financial analyst gives his predictions for gold, oil, the U.S., and global economy during a recent interview with Resource Talks. We will now bring you clips from the interview. Please watch, share, and like this video. Also, ensure you subscribe to the channel and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Thanks and enjoy the video.
You will also have the wars over Ukraine and the Middle East intensifying and broadening. The Fed and other G7 central banks will be forced to save their economies and save their bond markets. So interest rates sometime in the first quarter, sometime in the second quarter, will be falling sharply. The dollar will start falling sharply, and asset markets, having fallen by 30 to 40% between now and, say, April next year, will begin recovering. And with central banks dropping interest rates and flooding their systems with credit, you will have a huge recovery. Inflation starts taking off, and by early to mid 2025, world inflation will be around 15%. US bond yields will be around 15% as well, and that will crash the world economy. But you have what I call the last hurrah between mid-2024 and mid-2025, when asset prices basically double, and then you get the big collapse. The big collapse, therefore, leads to what we call 7 years of rolling recessions, which will include conflicts within countries, almost civil wars, and wars between countries, i.e. China, Russia versus America and G7. It's not until the early 2030s that crises bring about logic and common sense between countries and leaders. And then we get into decades of peace, growth, stability. And for instance, GDP will return to the average that's been seen since 1900, of an average of 3.8% a year. And for copper, 4% a year, which has been the average growth rate from 1900 to 2022. But we have to go through the crisis first. Pivoting to save the economy and to save their bond market. What then happens is that by pivoting, you're going to get an acceleration of inflation, which will be compounded by oil prices probably rising to over $150 by early 2025 because of supply disruptions, and you will get food prices absolutely soaring.
During the interview, Hunt also discusses the growing strength of the BRICS Plus alliance and what it means for gold. According to Hunt, the next era of global finance will be divided into two distinct groups with unique ideologies and approach to money. The first group will be the G7 countries, still completely hung up on their fiat monetary system and printing as much as possible to prop it up. The second group will be the BRICS Plus alliance, led by China and Russia. Instead of a broken fiat system, Hunt believes this second group will embrace the more prudent gold-backed system. Though many gold bugs gave up on the alliance after its August summit, Hunt believes the bloc is still quietly progressing with all of its plans. Let's get back to the interview.
So the world is being drawn into two lots. The first is the G7, who will retain their fiat currency, which the BRICS Plus don't want to use, because what's it done? Over the years, they have accumulated a fiat currency in their reserves, which every year loses its value. So stage one, the development of local currencies. I think stage two is that China and Russia will in some form link their currency to gold. Both countries have got far larger gold reserves than are generally reported. China has probably, from what I pieced together, got over 50,000 tons of gold, about half of which is owned by Chinese households and institutions, bought off the Shanghai Gold Exchange since its inception, which I think was 2006. So that's a lot of gold. And anecdotally, I can confirm that other institutions in China, other than the PBOC, own a hell of a lot of gold, which includes the PLA. And Russia has north of 12,000 tons. What's owned above the figure that the central bank owns, which I forget the actual number, something like 1,200 tons, is actually held by the company that oversees the central bank. So I think stage two, both countries will in some way or another link their currency to gold. And as a Chinese guy said recently, if push comes to shove, the government leans on its people and says, we need your gold when push comes to shove, if that's necessary, because they own, in round numbers, 25,000 tons. So I don't think it's necessary for either currency to be convertible into gold, be backed by gold. And then I think the next stage is the creation of a BRICS currency, which is going to take time because it's a very complex issue. And I suspect that it will be based on the the currencies or the bond markets of the BRICS countries, and therefore indirectly, given China and Russia's dominance, indirectly linked to gold, but not directly. BRICS will become, through the new development bank, a very powerful financial institution to rival the IMF and the World Bank. And I suspect that by the middle to late 2020s, it will be a very functioning financial institution.
According to Simon Hunt, the BRICS gold-backed system, however form it takes, will be backed by gold, but not convertible. It's very clear that the world is quickly heading for multipolarity, an era during which several superpowers or global powers will rise. The ability of each country to thrive and survive amidst so much competition will depend primarily on the strength of their economic and financial system. Do you think the United States is still strong enough to thrive against any strong opponent? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Also, ensure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Thanks for watching.